Vaylantz actually getting in here this week with actually a Horus package. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. The weekly Next Play event is here out of the OCG, and let me tell you, a lot of the representations out of these styles of events, I mean, it's interesting just to see what players are still bringing to the table out here in order to kind of, edge over the competition. And Tier Elements actually was the most represented deck in Swiss this week. I'm not all that surprised to, actually see that the OCG loves this deck. I don't know what it is about Tier, especially, in the OCG, but hey man, Chaos Roller and things, maybe they'll change things up a wee little bit out here. And then Rescue Ace having 5 in representation, putting it as the second most represented deck this week. I mean, let's be honest here at this stage. We've seen Rescue Ace. As much tournament data as we've sifted through on this channel, the fact that they can do the Auroradon synchro plays, it's disgusting the amount of support that they are able to get off the ground with that. And then we also have Labyrinth up here with 4 variants, putting it as the third represented deck in Top Cut. So, I mean, we're no stranger to half of these. Two of these are from deck build packs at this stage in time, so that's pretty cool. Now we get down here to the 2 of section. There are 2 Purely and 2 Vaylantz decks, and I will say that seeing Vaylantz performing here is a little bit scary. We've seen the deck, it'll do Gallant Granite plays, it'll make the Fossil Dyna, Pachycephalo, and Search, and maybe Pendulum players should take note of the fact that 2 level 4 monsters does make a Pachycephalo normal summon that allows you to just kind of detour your opponent, and your opponent's kind of forced to go, what am I supposed to deal with this? Like, there really isn't much that you can do at the end of the day against, that full board. I guess draw the Fossil Dyna, or draw the Dark Ruler no more, and try to outpressure your opponent. Now, the one-ofs here. See that we have Blackwings. I'm not all that surprised. Blackwings still kind of shows up every once in a while as a rogue deck. We have some Adamantipator. We have Dark World. A couple of these I don't recognize based off of the pictures. I do see that we have Dinosaurs. We have Exosister. The Remains of Kashtira. Looks like we have Runic player here as well. Gosh, we actually had Dinomorphia. We had some Dragon Maid. I see that we also had some Odotic, some super heavy shenanigans, and somebody also brought Magistus to the top to participation. Okay, now we're going to shift on over here into your top 7. The reason why they do this, I believe it's like the undefeated seeds instead of doing like a proper top 8 in terms of representation. I really wish they would do proper top 8s for this, but this is what we're kind of stuck with at this point in time. So your first huge representation here is going to go to Rescue Ace. I mean, I'm not surprised at the end of the day to see the Rescue Ace is still rooming it on up here between the control variant kind of losing a little bit more of its dominance out of the events. I'm not all that surprised to see that we are seeing a dial back in Pure because, I mean, once again, Auroradon plays, if you're getting access to Borrelord Savage, all the extra little combo lines that you can, I don't blame them for taking advantage of that. Like, that's literally crazy that they can do all that. And then, of course, 2 Tier Elements. So your conversion rate from 6 tier down to 2, not bad. I mean, Rescue Ace had a conversion of 5 down to 2, so it's not bad either. But Tier, all jokes aside, please let this deck, just get rid of it at this point in time. This deck has been such an annoyance. I'm surprised that you've let this deck stick around for as long as you have. I mean, if you're a Master Duel player, you're probably really happy that you can still play a deck and transition from Master Duel over to IRL. That's good at the end of the day. But you're sitting here and you're looking at the combo pool for this, you're just like, ugh. Now, we do see here that Vaylantz is in our top representation. Still can't believe that. Vaylantz actually kind of performing. We've seen it do its thing every once in a while, but I'm very happy about that. You do see Labyrinth over here also getting the chance to showcase off some of its work. Let me tell you, the Labyrinth representation was not that great for this event, and the fact that you are seeing it get off the ground is amazing. And then we have Runic over here. Runic in its current form out of the OCG is disgusting. right? They have one fountain. This deck struggles to like make sure that it can sit up and do anything. And the fact that this was sitting at the top tables here indicates to me that we had some very, very strong matchups here at the end of the day. So overall, top 8 or top 7, looking what you would expect, a decent chunk of Rogue here, and honestly, a good representation of how the meta is shaping up here. Let's pass on over to those top deck lists, shall we? Winning our next play event was none other than, you guessed it, Runic. And that is, so they still have 3 card demise, which is pretty cool at the end of the day. I see that Maxis have finally found their way into the main deck out here for this, which is kind of interesting at the end of the day. I haven't seen any of these builds that have been trying to play Maxi, because, you know, obviously, like, the Amano Awado doesn't necessarily help out. And they also have the skill drain limitations out here as well, but this build found a way to kind of incorporate, you know, some of the things that we were missing at the end of the day, and found a way to kind of bring them back home. And I think that that really says a lot about, you know, what you got to do these days in order to make Runic be viable at the end of the day, on top of, you know, how many floodgates can you drop into this deck. Also, the side deck is very, very hand trap heavy. They have to patch up all of these different holes in order to try to find the right method of disruption, at least to get the deck to work. So I like this build a lot. I think this is a very good showcase of how to disrupt the OCG. Also, the dimensional fissure down in the side deck is also a really nice tech choice here. Now, as we move on along here, we actually have Aurora Dawnless Hydrant deck. And I will say that I'm very surprised to see this. The Aurora Dawn build has been so far ahead of the rest of the curve that when you kind of take a step back here and you're like, wow, you know, we actually are trying different things out here. First of all, kudos to the OCG for definitely, you know, finding different ways to make this deck work. Also, this build is on 3 Hydrant. We'd seen in the past that going with 2 Hydrants did kind of work out at the end of the day, but at this stage, I think 3 maximizing, you're still playing 41 cards, which is a little bit rough. I know a lot of people are like, well, you know, trying to push down for the 40 is sometimes more optimal, but you can get away with 41 in this. You're doing so much deck thinning as the, you know, the turns go by here that it shouldn't be an issue. You're also citing the Herald down here for the cat. You have the thrust to be able to toggle into, you know, the levels of disruption that you're going to need, and of course the additional Rescue Ace Trap that has been cited for quite a little while now, getting a little bit more love down here as well. So build pretty straightforward. I like what I'm seeing. Next up here is Vaylantz. I am so happy to see that Vaylantz actually did well here. Now, this Vaylantz list is actually pretty crazy to me because we are playing the Horus package in here, which, I mean, is just discard outlet central, right? Like, that's your entire purpose. It gives you filtering options, puts large monsters on the field, gives you additional deck thinning. And then with the Sarcophagus, you're putting 3 level 8s essentially on the field for free, which are kind of just free link fodder / climbing fodder for whatever you're going to need. I like what they're attempting to do with this. I think it's very interesting. And then, of course, you do play the Super Heavy Samurai package. Let's call it what it is at this point in time. I mean, you want some good universal scales. You want the ability to set up relatively easily. And that's what you are going to get with those scales. Also, the fact this deck gets to play Lars with some of the other things. You have the Darkworm package in here with the Revolution Dragons to be able to toggle for those. This is by far probably one of the spicier versions of this deck we had. And also, I mean, they do have Electromite. Must be nice, OCG. And our last list out of today is actually, you guessed it, Adventure Tier Elements. We've been seeing the Adventure package, you know, picking up a little bit more momentum with this deck. I mean, they still have Fairy Tail Snow, they still have Chaos Relay, they still have all of these stupid good cards at the end of the day that just get to fold on in to this big old pile of cards here, and it works out at the end of the day. It's pretty amazing what consistency can actually bring to the table out here for these types of events. But I do like how this deck has been, you know, still functioning. As much as, you know, we give it crap, it still is one of the most consistent decks in the room. That random RNG mill that you get, all of those boards that you can set up, also the Revolutions in ground to make a free Naturia Beast. You have so many stop buttons against your opponent. It's scary. And to think that the hodgepodge one-of pile would find a way to actually work. It's beautiful. So that's all we have out here for the next play breakdown today. Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.